Lu Fan pondered briefly and immediately understood. If all the map fragments could be collected, they would get the tyrant's retreat route. And since the tyrant died during his retreat, following the retreat route would roughly tell them where to find the lost treasure required by the mission. As for the map fragments, they needed to collect them by hunting down the monsters here, so everyone needed to properly explore this whole place. After understanding the method to clear the dungeon instance, the impatient Tao Shaman wanted to set out, choosing a random direction to advance and grind monsters. However, Lu Fan stopped her and advised, "Don't rush. I think we can't be that reckless here. Look around you. It's all desert, seemingly empty and unnaturally quiet. The more it's like this, the more careful we need to be." Kao saying this, Lu Fan pointed out the issues he noticed in the dungeon instance's description. Thus, he had to remind everyone here. Everyone agreed with Lu Fan's speculation, feeling that though this desert looked quiet, it definitely harbored many hidden dangers. Be it monsters that might be lurking under the sand or the so-called quicksand vortex. For this type of map, the optimal solution would definitely be to explore using sky mounts. But among everyone, only Lu Fan had pet dragons. The rest did not have the ability to fly. However, this was not a difficult thing for Lu Fan. He directly had Xiao Kui summon the 2 fallen corpse holy dragon kings and had them open their puppet sub-space to summon 10 demonic bloodthirsty bats. Demonic bloodthirsty bats were the weakest existences among the 9 Hell demons' army. Lu Fan had tens of thousands of these monsters. They were the perfect cannon fodder. Lu Fan one-on-one, let these things scout ahead, will follow from behind. This way, if there are any dangers, they'll trigger it for us. Now originally, everyone was surprised at how Lu Fan's flying dragon kings had changed to this appearance. Now, seeing Lu Fan having the flying dragon kings summon some unknown monsters, everyone was even more astonished. "Lu Fan, your flying dragon kings, how is it that they can summon monsters?" Han Kei could not close her mouth, feeling that she could comprehend Lu Fan less than before. Lu Fan smiled and said, "My flying dragon kings have evolved twice in the extremely far north ice plains and in the National Trial Secret Realm. Now, they are called Fallen Corpse Holy Dragon Kings. They are also now Quasi-Dragon Kings, so their appearance is somewhat different from before." "Quasi-Dragon Kings! Isn't that about the same as Xiao Ye and the others?" All 4 women were shocked at the same time. Calculating this way, did this not mean Lu Fan had 6 Dragon Kings as pets? Lu Fan thought for a moment and said, in terms of attributes and combat power, they still have some gap compared to proper Dragon Kings like Xiao Ye and the others. Even so, they have a special trait that's very useful. Speaking thus far, Lu Fan snapped his fingers, and the fallen corpse holy dragon kings immediately understood. They let out their purple gas, which spread out to envelop the remains of a tyrant's attendant on the ground. Soon, under everyone's surprised gaze, this tyrant's attendant actually reassembled its body and stood up. Seeing the tyrant's attendant stand again, Bao Bao immediately became energetic. His wings crackled with the clear intention of blowing up this monster again. Fortunately, Lu Fan had anticipated that he would get too excited upon seeing a killable monster, so he restrained him. After restraining Bao Bao, Lu Fan explained to everyone, "This is one of the fallen corpse holy dragon king's skills. They can revive dead monsters and turn them into fallen corpse puppets for me to use." The sound of sharp intakes of breaths was continuous. Jian Ying, with her broad knowledge, exclaimed in surprise, "Wait, isn't that skill very similar to a hidden profession called necromancer?" Necromancer was a relatively well-known hidden profession. Mentioned in various textbooks, it was only natural for most people to know about it. Lu Fan was naturally very familiar with it as well. Lu Fan thought for a moment and said, "Actually, it's very different. Necromancer can only enslave normal monster, and they will face difficulty enslaving anything above normal grade, gold. There are also many restrictions when they want to enslave a boss. A's for the fallen Corpse Holy Dragon Kings, this part is different. They can enslave any monster with lower all four attributes than them, boss are no exception. Moreover, there's no limit on the quantity of monsters they can enslave because all Fallen Corpse puppets are stored in the puppet sub-space. As you all know, the puppet sub-space is boundless. Accommodating hundreds of thousands of puppets is not a problem. The sound of sharp intakes of breaths came again. Qin Chu said in utter amazement. Doesn't that mean you can use every boss you've killed as a summon? If that's true, with the Fallen Corpse Holy Dragon Kings, you could easily build an entire monster army. Lu Fan smiled and nodded, thinking to himself that he had already done this. His monster army was the Nine Hell Demons army that had cost Extremistus country dearly. Tao Xiaoman's imagination also began to open up following Qin Chu's question. With one hand supporting her chin, she said, "Let's put the monster army aside for now. I think this current dungeon instance will be much easier to clear than we imagined. If we keep turning dead monsters into summons, with this gradual accumulation, couldn't we eventually have all the monsters in the dungeon instance surround the final boss? After we farm 2 more waves of monsters, we would not even need to act ourselves. We could just let the monsters fight each other while we enjoy the show." Lu Fan smiled and said, "We could do that, but it would be too slow. The monsters in this dungeon instance are far too weak. Rather than letting them kill each other, it would be faster if I let my pet dragon crush them." That makes sense. Tao Xiaoman nodded, then continued, "However, don't waste the monster corpses. Lu Fan, just turn all of them into Fallen Corpse puppets. They should be useful for leveling in the wilderness or clearing dungeon instances in the future." Others also nodded in agreement. After all, this was a level 70 Nightmare Dungeon instance, and the monsters inside were quite strong. They would definitely be great helpers for grinding monsters. However, Lu Fan indicated that while it might be worth enslaving bosses, regular monsters were just cannon fodder, and he realistically did not need more cannon fodder. Tao Xiaoman was somewhat surprised upon hearing this. After all, these were all at least level 60 elite monsters with considerable combat power. Yet, he was too lazy to enslave them when it just took him an order to do so. Realistically, it was the Fallen Corpse Holy Dragon Kings that was doing all the work. Lu Fan did not even need to do anything but move his mouth. Lu Fan nodded, directly admitting, "That's right, I'm really too lazy to collect them." Lu Fan had the Fallen Corpse Holy Dragon King summon a Demon Knight, saying he had nearly 2,000 of these level 75 gold-grade bosses. Summoning a War Drummer next, Lu Fan said he had about 30 of these main stage bosses. The Demon General was also summoned by Lu Fan, and he mentioned he had 9 of these level 85 Diamond Grade boss. Originally, when Lu Fan said he had 9 Demon General Fallen Corpse puppets, it had already left all the girls rigid with disbelief. Finally, Lu Fan summoned the Mad Hell Demon. This boss is a level 85 epic grade boss, and I have 9 similar ones. Lu Fan's tone was casual, but in the ears of Jian Ying and others, it was like a thunderbolt during a clear sky. A level 85 epic grade boss! This was an existence that could easily flatten a city. Yet, this kind of boss had been enslaved by Lu Fan, and he had enslaved 9 of them. This was simply outrageous! Jian Ying stared at the Mad Hell Demon in a daze for a while, then her body trembled once she recognized it. Even someone as composed as her became unsettled. Lu Fan, this boss, could it be one of the 9 Hell Demons? "You know about the 9 Hell Demons!" Lu Fan was slightly surprised. After all, if he had not participated in the national trial, he would not have known much about Extremistus country's 9 Hell Demons. "It really is one of the 9 Hell Demon." Jian Ying's pupils shook greatly as she said, "When I was in high school, I was interested in the history of foreign countries, so I read quite a lot of books on them. Among them, there was information about Extremistus country's 9 Hell Demons. When I saw that Demon General earlier, I felt it looked familiar. If I'm not wrong, this Mad Hell Demon is the strongest among the 9 Hell Demons. I have a deep impression of it, so I could easily recognize it. Seeing that Jian Ying knew something about this epic-grade boss Lu Fan had summoned, the others all asked about its background. After hearing Jian Ying's explanation about the 9 hell demons, everyone was thunderstruck. Even such a powerful boss had been enslaved by Lu Fan. This was getting more and more unbelievable. Since returning, Lu Fan had not mentioned much about what happened in the national trial, so he took this opportunity to briefly explain his gains from the secret realms. When they learned that these few bosses before them were just the tip of the iceberg, and that Lu Fan actually controlled the entire 9 hell demons' army, everyone looked at Lu Fan as if they were looking at a monster. Tao Xiaoman clicked her tongue in amazement and said with both shock and joy, "In that case, don't you now have the armies that made Extremistis country bow their heads? If Extremistis country offends you again, you could just release the 9 hell demons' army. I bet their people would cry. Well, we'll see if they are so blind as to be seeking death." Lu Fan smiled, then put away the remaining fallen corpsey puppets, leaving only the Mad Hell Demon. The Mad Hell Demon was very powerful, capable of steamrolling through this death desert ocean alone. After Lu Fan possessed the 9 hell demons' army, he thought about his days of auto-farming dungeons and leveling up. Now, with the chance to let the fallen corpse puppets kill all his enemies for him, why should he waste his own effort? When encountering monsters, just let the Mad Hell Demon handle it. Of course, Lu Fan had also considered whether to directly release the 9 hell demons' army to clear this entire map. However, to find the final boss, one needs to collect map fragments. Lu Fan felt that since this mechanism exists, it was likely an important prerequisite for triggering the final boss's appearance. It was possible if he could not collect all the map fragments, the final boss would not appear. Lu Fan could not possibly dig through the entire Death Desert Ocean to find the boss, could he? Finding a boss in such a nearly boundless dungeon instance would be like finding a needle in a haystack. The 9 hell demons' army could kill monsters, but they could not collect dungeon items for him. If he let the army spread out to farm monsters, Lu Fan would still have to search for map fragments one by one, which would be more troublesome. To simply put it, they should treat it like they were clearing a normal dungeon. He should bring everyone along to search together, clearing whatever they encountered. This way, they would not miss out on important mission items like map fragments. With the Mad Hell Demon, a level 85 epic grade boss, there were not many monsters that required everyone's effort. Lu Fan had everyone split into 3 formations. The newly transformed fallen corpse puppets and demonic bloodthirsty bat formed the first line, walking at the front. Once they encountered any danger, they would be the first to face it, fulfilling their role as cannon fodder. The second formation was the Mad Hell Demon wielding its iron mace. If any monsters appeared, they would be dealt with immediately. As for the last formation, that was Lu Fan and the others. Everyone only needed to leisurely explore without worrying about anything else. After arranging everyone in this formation, Lu Fan led everyone in one direction. Sure enough, the vanguard fallen corpse puppets soon encountered trouble. A quicksand vortex suddenly formed under their feet, pulling at their bodies, constantly sinking and drawing them toward the center of the vortex. Although the fallen corpse puppets had no intelligence, they had combat instincts. After falling into the quicksand, they struggled desperately, trying to escape the vortex. However, even though they were level 65 elite-grade monsters with high attributes, they could not escape from the quicksand vortex's pull and could only watch helplessly as they sank deeper. Once swallowed by the quicksand, the result was predictable. Seeing the front, most fallen corpse puppets sink into the quicksand, all the girls present breathed sighs of relief while casting admiring glances at Lu Fan. They had not been trapped by the quicksand vortex because of his foresight. If Lu Fan had not warned everyone about possible dangers here, and had cannon fodder walk in front, they might have been the ones caught in the quicksand vortex. Chun Qiu repeatedly sighed in admiration. After all, Lu Fan was now so experienced, able to so easily find the safest method to explore an unfamiliar dungeon. This wave of monsters gave Lu Fan another map fragment, and Bao Bao reached level 3. Looking at the current situation, collecting 500 map fragments would be quite time-consuming. Fortunately, this dungeon instance gave high experience points. What came next was relatively simple. Lu Fan had Xiao Qiu cast Jade Shield on everyone to prevent sudden accidents. Then, he had the Fallen Corpse puppet scout ahead. If they encountered any quicksand vortex, everyone would temporarily detour around it. If they encountered monsters, naturally, the Mad Hell Demon would step in and easily eliminate them. Besides the Mad Hell Demon, Bao Bao, being the battle-loving baby dragon he was, could not stay idle and joined the fray. Whenever monsters appeared, he would compete with the Mad Hell Demon for kills, insisting on killing the monsters himself. However, the level and attributes difference was far too huge. Most monsters were instantly killed by the Mad Hell Demon's mace, leaving Bao Bao few chances to secure any kills. This made Bao Bao increasingly annoyed with the Mad Hell Demon. Several times, if Lu Fan had not quickly stopped him, he would have attacked the Mad Hell Demon. Although he did not get that many monster kills, their experience points definitely flowed into Bao Bao's body, making his level increase quite rapidly. Soon, the group encountered their first dungeon boss. Of course, this dungeon boss met a miserable fate, being shattered by the Mad Hell Demon in one hit. But the rich experience points provided by this boss helped Bao Bao reach level 5. What Lu Fan had not expected was that after reaching level 5, Bao Bao would learn another skill. Chain Lightning active skill LV Win, release a lightning bolt that can jump between multiple enemies, causing chain damage. Damage will increase by 20% for each jump up to 8 jumps. When used on a single target, the lightning bolt can jump between Blue Dragon King, Wrath of the Storm, and the enemy, with damage increasing by 50% per jump. Another damage output skill, and an area of effect magic skill at that. This skill was similar to the Lightning Mage's second profession skill, Chain Lightning, though their power could not be compared. Moreover, while Chain Lightning was only a single attack when dealing with a single person, Leaping Thunder could continuously jump between Bao Bao and the enemy, increasing in damage each jump. Thus, this skill could also be seen as a multi-hit single-target skill. No matter what, all 8 jumps would definitely be completed, maximizing the damage output. Generally speaking, mage skills were much more numerous than other professions. It was because of their many skills, mages have high burst damage. Releasing all skills at once made it difficult for both players or monsters to withstand. However, mages would not throw out all their skills at one go. Instead, they would selectively use more practical skills first. After all, they had one major limitation, which was their mana pool. This was a hidden attribute, like a person's stamina that couldn't be shown numerically but existed and could be sensed by those who had undergone profession change. Mages pursued increasing their mana attribute not only to increase their magic attack damage, but also to increase their defenses. Just like how some close combat profession players increased their endurance attribute for both defense and stamina. Therefore, it was not simply better for mages to have more skills. Along with numerous skills, they needed a sufficient mana pool to support the usage of such skills. For Bao Bao, he was a Blue Dragon King, which was basically made to use magic spells. He practically had an infinite mana pool. Under these conditions, each additional skill represented a huge increase in his magic damage output. Before, he could already dominate monsters with just Roaring Thunder and Heaven's Punishment. With another skill added, how could the monsters here possibly withstand it? Whatever monster appeared, he could just spam skills at it. Bao Bao's combat style was just this simple and brutal, but was undeniably incredibly effective. Therefore, the appearance of Leaping Thunder significantly increased Bao Bao's strength. Moreover, among Lu Fan's pet dragons, none had learned a new skill at level 5. Lu Fan estimated that Bao Bao's frequency in learning skills would likely be extremely high. He will most likely be the one with the most skills among all my children. When he fully matures, Lu Fan could already imagine dozens of skills being frantically thrown out. How could someone possibly withstand that bombardment? The name Bao Bao is quite fitting indeed. He, Lu Fan, had the Fallen Corpse Holy Dragon King use Fallen Corpse control to enslave the defeated boss, adding it as new cannon fodder, using it to continue the advance. Afterward, the group encountered many monster attacks and quicksand vortex ambushes. However, because Lu Fan was well prepared and had the Mad Hell demon nearby, these dangers were basically non-existent. Any danger was absorbed by the cannon fodder, while Lu Fan's group felt like they were on vacation, not having to worry about anything. However, the group did not want to just coast along, do nothing and gain experience points. To train their skills in combat, Jian Ying and others would still choose to fight alongside the Mad Hell Demon and Bao Bao whenever they encountered monsters. At first, each wave only had 10 to 20 monsters, which was not enough to share amongst them. Not especially after Bao Bao learned his new skill and his damage output increased dramatically. Oftentimes, the battle would end before Chun Q could even prepare her skill. Later, the number of monsters gradually increased, with the group encountering 5 or 6 quicksand vortexes forming at once, from which various monsters would emerge, numbering around 50. Once that started happening, Jian Ying and the others finally had the chance to engage with the monsters. Soon, the group had spent a full day in the dungeon, killing countless monsters and collecting over 400 map fragments. Throughout their journey, Lu Fan had not been leading everyone around aimlessly like headless flies. He had not forgotten his mission in coming to the Death Desert Ocean. It was to claim the Divine Grade Treasure Map! After a day's journey, Lu Fan finally arrived at the coordinates marked on the treasure map. Using the excuse of taking a break, Lu Fan had everyone sit down to eat something, while he sat down at the treasure map coordinates and quietly opened his system panel. He covertly chose to claim the Divine Grade Treasure Map. He wondered if this Divine Grade Treasure Map would unearth another dragon egg. Ding, the coordinates of the host matches the coordinates of the treasure map. Divine Grade. Treasure map used successfully. Ding, congratulations host on obtaining 1 Dragon Hunter's Will Golden Dragon King Helmet. 1 Shadow Dragon King Contract Crafting Recipe. The Divine Grade Treasure Map was claimed, but its reward surprised Lu Fan. Previously, every time Lu Fan claimed a Divine Grade Treasure Map, he would get a mythical grade dragon egg. Lu Fan naturally assumed he would get his 5th dragon egg this time. He would soon reach level 45 and unlock his next pet slot. After getting the dragon egg, he could quickly hatch it to further increase his combat power. However, what Lu Fan had not expected was that the Divine Grade Treasure Map he claimed did not contain a dragon egg. Ha-has, my luck ran out. Lu Fan felt slightly disappointed but decided to check the rewards first. After all, it was from a Divine Grade Treasure Map. These 2 items should be anything but ordinary. Lu Fan first looked at the Dragon Hunter's Will Golden Dragon King Helmet in his system panel. Sure enough, it was a mythical grade item, part of the mythical grade equipment set. Dragon Hunter's Will Golden Dragon King Helmet. A mythical equipment set, level requirement 90, profession requirement, Dragon Hunter, Silver Dragon Rider, Dragon Blood Warrior, Agility Ain 43, Strength Liton 81, Mana plus 433, Endurance flow 48, additional skill, Golden Form, active skill, transforms the entire body into gold. In this state, caster will be immune to all damage. However, at the same time, caster will not be able to move, attack, or use any skills. Can exit Golden Form state at any time while active. Maximum duration 3 minutes. Golden Dragon King Bloodline Release. Active skill, LV1 releases the Dragon Hunter's Will remaining in the equipment. Gains the Golden Dragon King Ultimate Shield's Bloodline Power. Enable one's body to transform into the Golden Dragon King. Once transformed, user will receive Strength ups level x50, Agility lufus level x50, Endurance ups level of 200, cannot enter riding state while transformed into Golden Dragon King, an equipment set bonus. Golden Dragon King Bloodline Release level so once a 1 summon 2, Golden Dragon King Bloodline Release level for 1. Gain skill, Golden Dragon King's Judgment Wings 1 and 3, Golden Dragon King Bloodline Release Level 1. Gain skill, Golden Dragon King's Blood Eruption I-14, Golden Dragon King Bloodline Release Level 1. Gain skill, Golden Dragon King's Light Ender Talent L1 Gullah 5. The attributes were somewhat lower compared to the belt, though this was normal, as helmets generally had the lowest attribute bonuses among all equipment types. This helmet also had an additional skill, Golden Form. After one look, Lu Fan realized it was just like the invincibility skill from games he had played before. This skill was quite useful for Lu Fan. In the future, if he encountered particularly strong opponents where his attributes were too low to fight and they were pursuing him, this skill would prove invaluable. Lu Fan could use Golden Form to avoid damage while watching how his opponent dealt with his 6 pet dragons and his 9 hell demons army. In 3 minutes, how many people could withstand being surrounded by 6 dragons plus the 9 hell demons? Moreover, Lu Fan had never had a helmet equipment before, so this could be equipped to greatly increase his overall combat power. However, this was a level 90 mythical grade equipment, and Lu Fan was still far from being able to equip it. After returning to Dragon Capital, I would need to find another no-level requirement enchantment scroll. After reviewing its details, Lu Fan decided to put the helmet in his inventory first. He began examining the other item, the contract crafting recipe. This crafting recipe was called the Shadow Dragon King Contract Crafting Recipe. It seemed to actually be the only thing that was directly related to his pet dragons. Can this make up for not getting a dragon egg? Lu Fan thought before checking it out. However, when he looked over it, Lu Fan's heart skipped a beat. Shadow Dragon King Contract Crafting Recipes, Mythical Grade Special Item Description after use, can craft the special item Shadow Dragon King Contract. Require of Radiant Shadow Stone 0-3, Ancient God Crystal Laciramanzi 1, Shadow Isle Essence 300, Shadow Spring Water 050, a Shadow Dragon King Contract, a Mythical Grade Special Item and Description. After use, summons Shadow Dragon King Blade of Darkness to fight for the caster. Duration 1 hour. Contract can be used 3 times. Shadow Dragon King Blade of Darkness will be the same level as the caster. What a great item! Its effects are basically no weaker than a dragon egg! If he could craft the Shadow Dragon King Contract, Lu Fan could summon a Shadow Dragon King of the same level as himself. He would be skipping the leveling process, and it could immediately join battle! Such a powerful special item was only mythical grade surely because it could only be used 3 times. Still, this limitation had no effect on Lu Fan at all since Xiao Qiu had her Devar and Assimilate skill. In other words, she could eat the Shadow Dragon King Contract and turn it into a permanent skill. After all, there was already a precedent with the dragon's summoning bone flute. This greatly increased the significance of the Shadow Dragon King Contract. This was essentially the same as being given a dragon egg, one which could participate in battle immediately after hatching. The divine grade treasure map certainly did not disappoint. In his excitement, Lu Fan looked at the required materials for the crafting recipe. It required over 1,000 items in total. The dense list of materials required made Lu Fan's teeth ache, because among these materials, only the Radiant Shadow Stone and a few others near the end were relatively common. They were purchasable just at a high price. As for other items like the Ancient God Crystal, Shadow Isle Essence, Shadow Spring Water, and so on, Lu Fan had not even heard of them. Those that I have not heard of must be very rare. Gathering them wouldn't be simple. With no other choice, Lu Fan could only plan to post a purchase advertisement at Dragon Capital University's auction house, while also asking the Prosperous Heaven auction house. The Prosperous Heaven auction house was now Dragon Country's top auction house. With its backing, he believes he should be able to purchase most of the materials needed for the crafting recipe. Though the divine grade treasure map had been claimed and yielded excellent rewards, none were usable right now. So, Lu Fan could only eagerly put them away and rest briefly with Han Ke and the others, eating some food and drinking some water to claim him down. After the short break, Lu Fan continued leading the team forward. With the divine-grade treasure map claimed, Lu Fan had no other concerns. Next, he just needed to properly run this dungeon several times to see what rewards clearing it for the first time would yield. The group continued forward, encountering several waves of monster attacks. In the largest monster wave so far, there were over 100 monsters. Of course, over 100 monsters were still nothing to Lu Fan's group. The Mad Hell Demon and Bao Bao easily divided and conquered them all. In this dungeon instance, the group had cleared over 5,000 monsters, including 3 main stage bosses. These monsters provided massive experience points to Lu Fan's group. Qinchu Tao Xiaoman and Xiao Kui had leveled up once, while Han Kei, being at a lower level, gained 2 levels. Bao Bao leveled up the most. He had already reached level 8. Such rapid leveling was due not only to this dungeon's high level, it did provide enormous experience points, but Lu Fan's accelerated growth aura having reached level 7 played a key role too. Currently, he was providing nearly 5 times the experience points boost to his pet dragons. At this rate, Bao Bao would likely enter his growth period in just a few days. Finally, after the 4th main stage boss whimpered and was killed by the Mad Hell Demon's mace, Bao Bao and Han Kei leveled up again, while Zhang Ying and Xiao Kui also gained a level. At the same time, Lu Fan found 2 more map fragments on the boss, completing the 500 required map fragments. Lu Fan felt accomplished as he took out all the map fragments and combined them into a most complete retreat route map. Holding the map, Lu Fan saw a bright line running through it with clear coordinates. Moreover, the group's current position was right along the retreat route. Following the map's guidance along this route should lead them to where the tyrant died and the lost treasure. After identifying the coordinates and direction, Lu Fan led everyone along the map's retreat route. After just a few steps, he felt something rubbing against him. Looking over, Lu Fan saw Xiao Kui holding her head high, as if she had done something remarkable and was waiting for praise. Lu Fan was confused about what she meant. Remembering Xiao Kui had just leveled up, Lu Fan checked her attribute panel and was surprised to find she had learned another new skill. Jade Mirror Image's active skill, ALV can target friendly units to create 2 mirror image projections. Mirror image projections gain all the skills of the friendly unit, with attributes at 30% of the original. Maximum simultaneous mirror image projections per unit 2. Effect is doubled if applied to those of the dragon race or teammates with dragon bloodline. Incredible! Xiao Kui, you've learned yet another powerful skill at level 36. No wonder this little girl is looking so proud and seeking to be praised. Lu Fan was delighted, thinking how accomplished Xiao Kui had become. After reaching her maturing period, she had first learned Dragon Domain, and now, after gaining 1 level, she learned Jade Mirror Image. This was simply too amazing! Lu Fan decided to have Xiao Kui use Jade Mirror Image on himself. A green light flashed, and beside Lu Fan appeared an identical copy of himself. It was indistinguishable from the original except for having a blank expression, seeming slightly dull. Lu Fan could sense and control this mirror image projection easily. It was not much different from the feeling of controlling the fallen corpse holy dragon kings. He could feel that this mirror image projection was quite powerful. Having access to all his equipment like the flaming meteor sword and underworld serpent's cry, and could even use dragon language magic. The only pity was that the mirror image projection could not summon pet dragons. That would make it truly invincible. Because Lu Fan had dragon bloodline, the mirror image had 60% of his attributes, making it quite formidable. At this state, the mirror image projection would certainly be able to handle third-profession players. Moreover, Xiao Kui could create 4 mirror image projections of Lu Fan. Together, their power would be comparable to the original. Furthermore, this was just a copy of Lu Fan. What about mirror image projections of Xiao Yi, Xing Chen, and the others? In the future, they might see 5 Xiao Yes casting great cataclysms simultaneously. 5 Xing-Chens all transforming into galaxy overlords and releasing neutron star and neutron star annihilation. That thought alone was exhilarating. Oh, right. He could never forget Bao Bao. One Bao Bao was already quite terrifying, just imagining 5 Bao Bao together, casting various skills together. Lu Fan believes even those that reached divinity could not possibly withstand that. More amazingly, Jade Mirror Image was only at level 1, and it was already so useful. When its level increases in the future, would Xiao Q not be able to create even stronger mirror image projections? Furthermore, even more mirror image projections per unit. Without doubt, though Xiao Q was a support specialized dragon, she was Lu Fan's most beloved dragon child. Not only was she well behaved, but the power increase she brought to Lu Fan was incomparable to any other pet dragon.